Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, it's your brother Bolo VNR, and I want to say big shout out to Mystic Sensation. Alright, make sure that you guys go ahead and definitely go and subscribe and support the platform. If you're not yet, if you're not yet a subscriber of this platform, hey, I encourage you to go right ahead, ladies and gentlemen, and subscribe to this platform, Bolo VNR. Let's get to 20k subs, right? And remember,
when the time come, some are go charge for corruption. Oh yes.
Why, Bolo? A while ago. Some are going to charge the corruption.
When the time come, some are go charge for corruption. Oh yes.
yeah, man, we have to spread the word, man, because you hear Marky G a sound the trumpet. Some are go charge for corruption. When the right time come. Mighty God, we can't wait for the time, but we are waiting, dear Lord. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is the topic for this particular one here, of course. You know, from Mystic Sensation. So, make we go in a class, no? Because the money a teacher, you know.
Now, Pastor, you remember Rattigan? Let me say this. I don't think no pastor in the world can pray for Andrew Holness and save him, man.
Share a promotion, Wagwan. Florence Brown, Wagwan.
That there is a pastor.
Vernon Mitchell. Big up everybody on the live. Sharon, my baby, what's up?
Andrew Holness and save him.
Big up on yourself, you know. The word is love, you know. I born you, big up. Everybody, big up. Well, I'm a moderator, then big up.
But give generous to them. Because if you show in will, they return to God. And of course, God will exercise his vengeance. It is Andrew Holness, you know. I pray, you know, I'm going to hear Andrew Holness. I say, I'm not shouting tonight, you know. Serious, I'm not shouting tonight. Don't show ill will against the needy and give generous to them. Okay, let us go to the next clip. The next clip is going to show you that there's no pastor that can pray for Andrew Holness and save him. Now let us go to the next clip.
Demolition crews, under the careful watch and protection of members of security forces, demolished several houses in a section of St. Catherine known as Clifton. The government of Jamaica today carried out a proposed demolition of housing structures in an area of Portmore St. Catherine known as Clifton. The justification for this drastic move is cited as a measure to crack down on criminal gangs accused of squatting or land grabbing on the outskirts of Clifton. It is suspected that much of the criminal activities that occur in St. Catherine stem from this area. Some 30 illegally erected houses were destroyed today.
We have done our own surveillance, and we have discovered that in proximity to Clifton, just above it, has been captured. The National Security Council, in reviewing the development plan, observed an insidious and growing threat in the area where alleged gangsters were capturing lands in the area adjoining the Clifton community, creating their own informal subdivision and selling these lands under the false pretense of ownership or building on them themselves. The SCJ has given warning and served notice to cease and desist. The capturing and the legal construction has continued to the point where some 30 structures have been identified. Let me be clear. The government wants every Jamaican to be able to own their own home and a piece of Jamaica. But it must be done orderly and lawfully. whole of Jamaica must acknowledge, every single Jamaican must acknowledge that this is just wrong. So, this is something that the central government of Jamaica must stand up and ensure it does not continue. Absolutely. The government will act to demolish those structures that have been illegally erected.
One resident broke down in tears as she recounts how she purchased her spot from a man for $800,000. She says that he just wrote paid on the receipt, and that's how she became a landowner. Now she can't get the seller on the phone.
Yeah, just introduce me to the man. I get the receipt, then give him me TRN and my ID, and then turn up the receipt, give me. They send the receipt, give me. Nobody no give me no look one, no look no give me. No, after me just pass and so try to me so them like on the plane. Me just for for go work. I see that for go work. I change and let me go work in the man time. Come in happy, come here see if it below so. So me don't know what to do.
Take it away, honey. Take it away. My people of Jamaica. Why do you think I show you that clip? I'm going to take some phrases from what the Prime Minister uttered, and knowing to the fact that the Prime Minister is now pursuing, as it relates to that clip, to stop land grabbing. Jamaica, I want you to listen to me clearly tonight. The Prime Minister had demonstrated, as it relates to the central government, which he represents, to limit land grabbing. The Prime Minister said, every Jamaican must own a piece of Jamaica, but it must be done legally and orderly. You know what the Prime Minister said? Which part me I go tonight, you know? Very serious, you know? Me want every Jamaican, me want all of the persons who the different Andrew Holness, who the different Andrew Holness. Where Andrew Holness hit down the houses in Clifton, you know? This is evidence with the Prime Minister come out of him. Evidence, you know? Where the Prime Minister lit down the Clifton homes and said he's not against a Jamaican to own his or her home, but must do it orderly and legally. Now, we could put the politics aside, people, and let us imagine what the Prime Minister said. That the Prime Minister is speaking that, okay, if you are going to pursue in terms of owning a land, you must do it orderly and legally. That is my point of contention tonight. That is my point of contention tonight. Now, people, the investigation that I am going to go in details. But before I go through the details, I'm just going to ask the opinion of Ratty and Pastor Ricky, based on what transpired here, as it relates to the Prime Minister, right, dealing with a situation, never tend to exercise due process in the matter. As it relates to said, okay, all right, these persons, they are poor people, right? And why am I going here, Ratty? Here's the reason why I am going here. Ratty, when we look on the Ratty and Pastor Ricky, when we look on the voting block, right, that represent Jamaica electorate, we know say most majority of the voters block made up by poor people. Make a reason now. You understand? Let us get into the demographics and break it down.
So I went online to chat with the missionaries, and they answered all these questions. And then they said, hey, would you answer a question for us?
Not only that majority of the people made up the voters block, but you have a lot of the middle class, a lot of these poor people within the voters block have been paying contribution to NHT for years, Ratty, for years, Pastor Ricky. and have not been getting any benefit of years of contribution. You have government bureaucracy as it relates to certain, screening process to find out whether or not the very same person who have been paying their contribution is suitable of getting a loan. However, you know how Jamaican people stay, right? With their skill and their talent, them can use them on and ton fashion. You understand? People going to pardon and them do this. You understand? Put their money together, right? And them try to own a property of their own. The Prime Minister never exercised due diligence in terms of those understanding. And said, okay, all right. Since they had done this, let us try go through some process in terms of how we can legalize them. Or the government can intervene in terms of aiding the process as opposed to eating down their homes. Why do you think I am going to hear people? Because it is the same Andrew Holness as now under investigation as Julius One Cabinet. Only one lot of people, we are come there. So then when we look and we see how Andrew Holness administration, right, go against any effort of the poor people in trying to get a home. Andrew Holness send tractor, bulldozer, and rush it down, mash it down. And he's telling the people that they are to do it legally, while him Jamaica, him not doing it legally, him Jamaica. So we're going to get there tonight. So, Brother Ratty, do you have anything to say on the mission?
Yeah, I see we're freedom put in the chat that
Before Mr. Rattigan go, now, ladies and gentlemen, this situation with these houses, he labeled them as criminals. The other day when that situation happened and the Integrity Commission report came out, if the KSMC gives you an agreement as to, and I'm asking a question, obviously. If the KSMC and you have an agreement that you're going to build two apartment house and you build a 4 apartment house, or proceed to build a 4 apartment house, are you a criminal? Or it's only when you're a poor person you're a criminal? But that's what I have to ask. And then look at that poor young lady. She said she didn't get any notice. She has safe by, like, Pastor Ricky is gonna say something very interesting, and I'm gonna let it play, but because it was his point, and I listened to this already. But that young lady, this situation, I mean, I think Andrew Holness could have done better. It's a shame what he chose to do in this situation to render these people homeless. It is a real shame, ladies and gentlemen. But let's hear what Ratty has to say.
to say that criminals are run to Dubai,
Mr. Rattigan, sir.
whether or not the Emiratis would take the Prime Minister. Well, look, they can take him, but our links go far. And we have some links this, and we're going to make sure the same don't see that place there's a refuge or a haven. Because the Emiratis have, they have extradited people. Scammers, crooks, all kinds of people they have extradited. They have some people there, and they're waiting on the legal process to wind its way through the courts. But the Prime Minister wouldn't be a safe haven for him. I can tell you that much. It really wouldn't. Because you have people who have links over there. I have some links over there with the police department and some other people. So I want to make sure I do everything within my power to make sure so if him go there, him can't stay there. At the very least, him can't stay there. That them will push him out. They must say we don't want you here.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, the thing about Clifton. If you go back and look at the thing, he said.
Very interesting. They on your ass, Andrew. If you thinking about an escape plan, these people are on your ass. God damn. They are determined. The Titans, Will Rattigan, are determined for you to face. And if you and your family, not just you, to face justice. For all these for all these potential crimes. Let's continue.
And it's not at Clifton where them have the nefarious activities. But then you see, like you meet them some houses in Clifton. I don't quite understand that if it's north of Clifton, then it can't be Clifton. But then we see meet down houses in Clifton, and then one lady said she wasn't given any proper notification, and she had to go work and all this stuff. No, people, no matter how you look at it, that's cruel. And here you play the clip with him in a church, a really good book, and I come out and I practice bad deeds.
Okay.
Where is there any forgiveness for somebody like him when he have none for people? None. There's a shrinking middle class despite everything. Right? Another thing too is that them come and tell this nonsense that the unemployment rate, and I have to share to that with a JLP person today. The unemployment rate is the lowest it's ever been in Jamaica. I think it's like 3.6. And I have to send him a clip where Statin said from January 2024 coming forward, you cannot use the stats to compare prior to January 2024 because it's a brand new methodology. It's like apples and oranges.
I am fine. I am so happy that this is being addressed. I don't want to hear from no more labor right that the unemployment rate is no. It's a total different methodology. Right? They changed the meaning of employment, I believe. They changed the meaning of employment. But it's a total different methodology is the point. Alright? So you cannot compare before 2024. Let's listen to that again. Very important.
Have none for people. None. There's a shrinking middle class despite what them tell you. Right? Another thing to is unemployment before January 2024 is not the way they're counting unemployment after January 2024. So you hear all of these nonsense. And why do I bring that up? Because people, some of us were not paying attention to what's being said and what's being done. Forget about what's being said, but what's being done in front of our eyes. We're all witnesses to what's going on. And somehow, sometimes we just say, boy, it's not happening. I see it happening, but it's not happening. And, there is work to be done. And that's why we continue to do what we're doing, because there's work to be done. Because some of us, we cannot take the scales off of our eyes. And so somebody has to take it off here. Because if you leave it up to these politicians, something? One last thing before I can know Pastor Ricky for coming. You did something the other night. I'm going to do it this Saturday. But you did something the other night when you mentioned about the tax, the finance papers.
Yes.
All right. I went back and I'm going through all of the not convention, but conference speeches. I'm going through all the conference speeches. I'm going through all the manifestos. I'm going through all the postcard briefings. I'm going through all the reports. I'm going through all of the press conferences. And I came across a clip where the Prime Minister said that there have been no new taxes under this PNP administration. And people reel and jump up and say, whoa, yeah. And I thought about it, and I went back and I looked at the document that you put up. And I said, I'm right. But people don't understand that him right for the wrong reason. They don't understand that. Listen to me carefully, people. Him right for the wrong reason. Here's why. When he said no new taxes, what it means is that right now they don't tax you if you have a bicycle. If they come out and say we're going to tax you if you have a bicycle, that's a new tax. What he didn't say is that I'm not going to increase taxes. That's what they never said. Because the document you show a mistake, he increased taxes. So increase what they were already taxing. But he never taxed anything that they weren't taxing, if you can understand what I mean.
Exactly.
And people hear that no new taxes and them say, whoa, and then they realize that, you know, when you smoke a cigarette, you pay taxes.
People, when you not hear something, what you mean no sound? When you hear me? I walk on with the computer. Hey, in Jesus' name, when I left me, hey, leave my computer. Why this thing I do me this? Yo, I don't like problem in a man. So now you hear me now. Something wrong though. Something very wrong. There was no sound at one point. Something wrong, man. Me hear the glitching, but I don't understand why. I don't understand why that's happening.
Because of GCP. When they buy gas, the list is there, people. And thankfully for Mystic brought it to my attention, brought it to everybody's attention. And I don't know how many people paid attention to it, but I certainly did. And I went and said, I have to find something where the Prime Minister said no new taxes. And I found it. And he's right. No new taxes. He's not taxing anything that wasn't taxed before. But things that were taxed before, he may increase them. I rest my case.
All right, well said. Come in on, Pastor Ricky.
So there's 2 points that Rattigan made. One, taxes. This idea that there's no new taxes. 2, unemployment rate is the lowest that's ever been. Both of them hold no weight. The Jamaica Labour Party has nothing to stand on. And those were 2 of their pillars to argue why they should get a 3rd term. Unemployment rate is the lowest. Well, no. Dash for that lie. Dash it away. And the no new taxes, yes, there's no new taxes. But to increase the taxes that was already there. Can I get an amen?
Time come. Some are got charged for corruption. Oh yes. Time come. Some are got charged for corruption. Oh yes.
Yes, go ahead.
The Prime Minister is not a Christian. This is why I repeatedly say that any pastor, church leader, ministers who support this Prime Minister and his government have denied the faith and have betrayed the gospel of Jesus Christ and should be ashamed of themselves and should go and repent. When you read the scripture that from Deuteronomy 15 that God spoke to Moses to tell the children of Israel before they cross over into the promised land that on the 7th year everything should be free, and whoever owed debt it's canceled. You know, that's the part 1 of the Mosaic law. Now moving forward, the Prime Minister took the law into his hands. If Jamaica is a true democracy and there's freedom, the Charter of Freedom, Fundamental and Rights and Privacy in Chapter 3 of the Constitution, what the Prime Minister should have done, if he said Jamaican citizens illegally occupy the land, he should have gone to the court, get an injunction or a court order and a warrant and serve them and give them periodically, say 30 days to vacate if he could have proven his case. That's how it would have been done in a first world country like America, England, or Canada. So the fact that he lied on the floor of the parliament when he says they're the same one that said this is an honorable house, but yet he called these people criminals that's occupying the land, that criminals gave them the land. Now he called the people that sell them the land criminals, and he called the people, the Jamaican citizens, taxpayers, squatters. It shows you that he has no investigational skills, because he should have gone to NHT with the names of the people that occupy the space, the land, with their TRN number, to see if they have paid into NHT. You hear one of the ladies say she's on her way to work, meaning that she, possibly have a job and possible paying her NHT withdrawal from her paycheck. So what he should have did was find an amicable solution to ensure that Jamaican citizens are not left homeless without a dwelling over their head. So he is, remember now, Sir Rattigan and Sir Byron, Lady Anne-Marie, and everyone in the chat, this man have an indigent housing program separately from Desmond McKenzie in the indigent housing program for the poor. These people, my understanding is that they bought the space or the land from a lady in the Ministry of Education. They were not squatters. They paid for it. The lady said she had a receipt showing that she paid $800,000 at the time that she moved on that space. So these people work and bought the piece of property, but the Prime Minister had other plans he wanted the land. This is why the Integrity Commission give them till May 31st this month as it relates to land acquisition, to show proof and evidence of how they purchased the land. This is the same Prime Minister where his son just buy 24 acres of land over Caymanas Estate in St. Catherine. And we know of other members of parliament in former members of parliament in St. Thomas who claim them buy how much thousands acres of land for $1. So this is a practice that has been going on, land grabbing and snatching and taking people's land and lying to get the people's land. And so we're looking forward for, are they going to turn over what the IC requested that is due by May 31st to the Integrity Commission? So the Prime Minister, Sir Rattigan is on the program. I'm trying to behave myself. Big respect, Sir Rattigan. But listen, man, the Prime Minister is the chief criminal in Jamaica. He knows these are poor people. And if he had an indigent program when built 271 houses, him should have ensured that the people that him going to relocate from that space get one of the indigent housing program. But he never did that because he have other plans for the land. And we are going to see the truth when the Integrity Commission get to the bottom of these 12 agencies, but 9 of them is in the Prime Minister's office on that request that Integrity Commission released about a month ago. Back over to you, Sir Byron.
One quick thing that it's funny because and we shouldn't forget it, that he said they're criminals selling the land and occupying the land. He never came out and admitted that the lady who he arrested for selling the thing was a principal in his constituency, one of his most ardent supporters. And if you notice, you hear nothing more about the case there.
All right.
Nothing. So,
and since you speak about it, Ratty, let us show the people the evidence as it relates to that principle. So we're going to show that principle now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. One more point. In Jamaica, the law says
the lady who they arrested for selling the thing was a principal in his constituency, one of his most ardent supporters. And if you notice, you hear nothing more about that case there.
All right.
Nothing.
People, a lot was said. But that last thing that was said is the main thing that needed to be said. That principal is one of the ardent supporters of the man in his constituency. Can you believe it? And we don't hear nothing more about the case. So Shadow, the thing them just like a brush on, no court case, no follow up, no settlement. These same people them kick off of the land. You know? It is alleged that that lady is the mastermind behind it. You know? So what go on? She connected to Ruel Reed. Ruel Reed connected to Andrew. Hey, may I tell you, say Jamaica is not a real place. Remember me tell you, let's continue.
So,
And since you speak about it, Ratty, let us show the people the evidence as it relates to that principle. So we're going to show that principle now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. One more point. In Jamaica, the law says if you dwell on a land for 12 years and you can show proof that you pay the property tax, after 12 years, you're the owner of the land, even if you got squat on it from 12 years ago. Once that 12-year period is up, you own the land.
It's true, but the information is true. Let us show that the Prime Minister even blamed Klansman to be doing this. And the person who guilty of this is the Prime Minister's friend. Let us show people, the Prime Minister's friend, the principal. All right, here it is, people. We are a school principal charged with poker breach relating to illegal Clifton sales. This is the Prime Minister's friend, you know. Don't joke about it, you know. Nationwide news understand that one person has been charged in relation to the illegal sale of land in the vicinity of Clifton and Portmore St. Catherine. Sewell Ward Brown, a school principal, has been charged with breaches of the Proceed of Crime Act, poker, the Law Reform Fraudulent Transaction Special Provision Act, and Common Law Conspiracy to defraud. Take it away, honey. Just want to show the people how the Prime Minister came out and lied. And as it relates to what Pastor Ricky said, that the Prime Minister did not do any investigation. Because if the Prime Minister had done any investigation, the Prime Minister would have known that, okay, it is the Prime Minister's own friend who is guilty of that and being arrested. And now since that came out, right, as what Rattigan said, we have heard nothing about that case. And so you can see the level of criminality as it relates to Andrew Holness' extended arm. You understand? Corrupting the criminal justice system. Just like we are seeing nothing being done as it relates to Ruel Reed case. You're not hearing anything. This is the criminality, right, of the government. Now, let us get into serious things in terms of the reason as to why, right, I showed, right, the land. And we are going to get into a little bit of investigation and we talk about land grabbing. I showed that to say that here is Andrew Holness being the Prime Minister, right? And as according to him, was correcting the behavior as it relates to what transpired in St. Catherine, right? And said that he was now controlling land grabbing. And at the same time, the Prime Minister, right, being doing that. The Prime Minister himself is guilty. Let me show you a similar pattern with the Prime Minister to show you that, okay, all right, this is not just a one-off incident with Andrew Holness. This is Andrew Holness in his DNA. Okay, let us go back and remind people what happened, right, as it relates to the similar behavior. When Andrew Holness accused Azan, if you remember the incident with Azan, when Andrew Holness accused Azan, right, as it relates to breaching procurement process, Andrew Holness was under investigation for the very same thing. People not hear me? Andrew Holness was under investigation And that did not stop Andrew Holness being under investigation to be accusing Adam and saying with his hypocritical self that he's not going to work in the parliament with Adam. So what sort of person is this? Don't remember, I know him can't say I like this, you know. Remember that Andrew Holness, the timeline of the investigation being investigated by the Integrity Commission investigators, the timeline is between period 2007 to 2009, you know. People want to remember that, you know. And remember, say it is after that he accused Azan. Right? He accused Azan in 2015. So just look, the Prime Minister knew very well that he is under investigation for even more serious things than what Azan did. It's not like Azan took any government money or take any money from out of the treasury. Azan don't do nothing like that. Azan took the money out of his personal pocket and facilitate some poor people. This goes to show you in Jamaica that this man no love no poor people, you know, and yet he's from the bosom of the poor. So I am just highlighting Andrew Holness' hypocriticalness. Now look in at this investigation that I'm going to present. People, me need no work hard people, you know. Let them come and look at me when we present. Now, people, let me show you the level of hypocrisy. Just remember, you know, the show Clifton and what they have done with the poor people houses. But when we start with Andrew Holness' wife and then we get into Andrew Holness, people look here. Let me show you the truth. Impossible to fix. Let me show you what they go on here. Let me show you Jamaican people. That's what I'm saying. There's no prayer can save them. Ultimate wicked and ultimately evil. Your people, impossible to fix. Juliet Holness tells court her 800 million housing project doomed to fail if issues with access road not addressed. And we just have got brief in it. Developer Juliet Holness has told Echo she's facing a failed 800 million housing project in St. Andrew if issues with an access road are not addressed in a high stakes title dispute. Take it away on it. Why must big sensation show that? Let me bring up this. Why this big sensation showing that? Now, you see, Andrew Holness went to go to funeral. I'm father funeral. I said, you know what? I am going to bring back Jamaica to reality. Because the political optics is to say, okay, everything is okay with both and the Prime Minister. And, you know, the Prime Minister would not take both money. I am coming plain as day, you know, plain as day. And knowing to the fact that he went to Bolt's father's funeral, whether he's invited or is not invited, I am not interested into that. I am interested in the vein of the wickedness and the cruelty and the barefacedness and the political tactics that they want to spin. So let me just remind people something. Remind people the history. Now remember that the Prime Minister in 2011 purchased the land at Beverly Hills. How many transactions the Prime Minister used to purchase that land? 4 transactions. 4 transactions. Simple means that the Prime Minister run out of cash. The Prime Minister run out of cash. The Prime Minister claimed, Patrick Bailey claimed, people, the document is there now. Patrick Bailey claimed that the bulk of the money came from SSL, right, to purchase the land. Now, remember in 2011, Bolo did not join SSL as yet. So I am telling you, as way back as in 2008, where SSL becomes a feeding tree for the Prime Minister. SSL became a feeding tree for the Prime Minister of Jamaica. The Prime Minister joined SSL 2008. You always hear Mystic Sensation talking about Audrey Sewell. Audrey Sewell, the permanent secretary. The Prime Minister appointed her permanent secretary in the Ministry of Education. And so then Audrey Sewell would have overlooked all those procurement breaches. And that's why I'm saying that Audrey Sewell must be investigated. But this is not about Audrey Sewell tonight. Let us push on to show that Prime Minister Andrew Holness went to both funerals. Went to both fathers' funeral. It means nothing. The Prime Minister is just bare face. The Prime Minister is just dry eye. My grandmother would have said, it come like puss broke coconut in a fear eye. The Prime Minister is just bare face. Right? The Prime Minister is the natural predator and bold is the prey. So that we just back Jamaica and show Jamaica something. So when the Prime Minister had done that, right? The Prime Minister, money run out in 2011 because the money that him make as it relates to influencing contract with Gavin. Right? Remember that him buy some properties in, bring that in through ADMAT. Use ADMAT, the money that he got from Gavin. I presume that those money push into ADMAT. And of course, ADMAT in St. Lucia buy those properties, those first initial properties. So make a smoothie now, make a traveling at the journey now. So in 2011, of course, the Prime Minister utilized most of the money. You understand what? You as relates to the influence there. You understand and have to pay for the land there. Right? In 4 transactions. And me say it, people. Patrick Bailey said this, Patrick Bailey said this. Now, most of the money came from where? SSL in 2011. Bold. Not get into SSL yet. Okay. We could flip the page. And we could call that page 11. That take on through the book. We could call that page 11. And we go over page 12 that represent. So page 11 represent 2011. We could go page 12 what represent 2012. What happened in 2012? Both giant SSL. Both giant SSL. And the first big chunk of money that both put into SSL. Yes, man. Marcus Kerry and Eucras Kerry jump up. We have the evidence, We have the evidence, That's why we have to go back to the whistleblower tonight. Yes, people. We are going back there. We are going back there. People can't say me never go back there, Me never tell him to go back to board funeral, And from once he go back to board funeral, from once he went to board funeral, me never go back to the whistleblower. And remind people, he make me go back to the whistleblower tonight, Now watch this now, people. Let me show you something. Marcus Kerry and Eucras Kerry jump and both free in the trunk at $6.7 US million in. Jump up, No, let me put it in direct vase in this, Direct vase, I think we don't know, say, you take up money out of SSL and give it to Andrew Holness. Hey, direct vase, I see you. Direct vase. You think we don't know, say, you responsible for many of the JLP accounts in SSL? We don't say it's silent in answer nothing. We don't say you. We have the evidence like direct vase. So but I can't go on like you want to run out, We have the evidence, We just have to wait for you, You, yes, man. You were the mediator in between SSL and Andrew Holness, giving Andrew Holness the money from out of SSL. Now, let me say something to you now. In 2012, when Board put in the money, right? Because you see me play Juliet Holness, impossible to fix. You know watch this now, people. Look where I go. In 2012, remember in 2011, Andrew Holness have no money in. 4 transactions him used to pay 3 hours. And in 2012, when Board put in the money, what happened, people? All of a sudden, Andrew Holness have money. Andrew Holness and Scott spend money straight through the 4 years between 2012 to 2016 and finishing big mansion.
Ball out! Whoa! We need help, Jesus. Jamaica need help. Shift the parliament. Shift the election. Shift everything. Remove them out there. Take out the cockroach. Take out the thief. Take out the criminal them. Take out the thief them. Take out the murderer them. Take out the gang leader them. Out of parliament. Take them out from Portland. Take them out. I hear Portland. Me I go to Portland. Why me I travel to Portland? Take out somebody. Man or woman.
People, I don't know what is going on, but it's serious. See? You can't hear me? Oh, you can't hear me same way. Mary said Jamaica is a Netflix series. Every day is a new episode with the crooks involved. No, sir. Arlene, what's up? Big up yourself, you know. Blessings to you. I see Roslyn Swaby in the building. Big up yourself, Mama Barbara Finley. How you doing? Blessings and abundance to you, know. Good to see you, know, this evening. But I'm not even expect for so long, but this hold me. You know, a lot of times I don't do these types of videos where I just sit and listen. But my God, Mystic Sensation, Pastor Ricky Rattigan, these guys are something else. Let's play that back a little bit there. No, sir.
Holness giving Andrew Holness the money from out of SSL. Now, let me say something to you, man. In 2012, when Bolo put in the money, right, because you see me play Juliet Holness, impossible to fix. You know, watch this now, people. Look where I go. In 2012, remember, in 2011, Andrew Holness have no money. 4 transactions he used to pay 3 hours. And in 2012, when Bolo put in the money, what happened, people? All of a sudden, Andrew Holness have money. Andrew Holness and Scott spend money straight through the 4 years between 2012 to 2016 and finishing big mansion. Is that lie? Andrew, is that lie? 2012, Bolo put in money. Your construction swings straight through from 2012 to 2016. Is that lie? That is not lie. Construction runs straight through from 2012 to 2016. Where did you get that money from?
Embarrassing.
Where did you get that money from? Now, in 2012, people, you know what also happened? While Andrew Holness building that big house, you know what? Juliet Holness started the apartment complex in Lee's flat. Where did Juliet Holness get that money from? Where did Juliet Holness got that money from? Juliet Holness started the apartment complex at Lee's flat. Go back and look at the document, people, in 2012. So in 2012, in 2011, right, both Andrew Holness and Juliet Holness strapped the cash. But in 2012, when both put in the money, you understand, Andrew Holness was able to start his Beverly Hills house, straight through 4 years period, finish it in 2016, and also Juliet Holness have money, you understand, to start this flat.
Time come. Some are got charged for corruption. Oh yes. Why Bolo? Some are got charged for corruption. Time come. Some are got charged for corruption. Oh yes.
Please flat operation. Now, since you show that, look at getting at the juggling. Let us bring up this document. So I am showing people in where we are going on how Andrew Holness in another big conundrum of people. Now look at this. Look at this.
Very good partnership with Hen and Fifth a Chinese construction company that brought their technical expertise into the development of the site, which ensured that the price points were within reach of the average Jamaican. So this is a lovely site, would normally be considered prime real estate, but the objective of the government is to ensure that Jamaicans have the opportunity to enjoy their Jamaica, their piece of the rock. Incredible. 10,000 houses. 2 years, the demand is incredible. I'm certain that if we had here 8,000 houses, 10,000 houses, all of them would have been sold. In fact, I'm told that the HAJ advertised just over 200 houses and had more than 6 times the number of applicants.
Now, why did Mr. Sensation play the clip? Let me explain. It's what we call quid pro quo. Quid pro quo. Andrew Holness, HAJ is a government entity. And as a result of that, I mean, I think that HAJ was created by PJ Patterson, right, during PJ Patterson government. So it's a government agency. So there is no share, so to speak, and all of that. You understand? Let us put that aside. That is not where I'm going. Where I'm going with this investigation is also where the Integrity Commission investigators are going. People, HAJ, the board, the chairman, right, who sit on the HAJ, let me show you people who sits on the HAJ, the board of HAJ. Let us show you who sits on the board of HAJ. And when we talk about quid pro quo, and we talk about the level of corruption with Andrew Holness, trust me, it cannot be measured. Now, let us go to HAJ annual report, where I'm going. Annual report, I want to show people who sits on the board of HAJ. Yes, Tony. Love how you're working with me tonight. Annual report 2019-20. People, let me just go down. I want to show you the person who sits on the board of HAJ. Right? Let me just find that for you. Now here it is, people. And the people can see it on it. And let me just miggle it for you. That's how I want the people to see it, you know. See the criminal activity, you know, the quid pro quo. And you want less level. And I want to know if PSOJ is not calling out this. If Umbrella Group of Church is not calling out this. Let me show it. See the man having the mouth, you know. See me spin the mouth around him, yeah? So I'm going to show you the level of corruption, people. Standing from left to right, Gary Howell, Wayne Strachan, Robert Lawrence, Sylvester Tulloch, Stephen Fongy, Ian Johnson, and John Valentine. Painted from left to right, Doreen Prendergast, Pierre Hutchinson, and all these people, Norman Brown. And Norman Brown, listen up. So when we hear all I like at George Davis and my name, the one who got about Sewell last week, Marlon Morgan, who they say Morgan do Morgan things. Yes, him right. Morgan does Morgan things. And you must be talking relative to the 17th century. We all know what Henry Morgan did. Pirate of the high seas. So Morgan does Morgan things. You let me remind you of your history. Morgan, since Since you pick up your Morgan and highlight that Morgan does Morgan things. So you have to also reference the 17th century history. Henry Morgan. So alright, put that away. I just want to show something. As Morgan does Morgan things, you know. Think me not there for you. I wonder if you want to consume Mystic Sensation too, because you have a Rattigan, you know. You have any lawsuit for Mystic Sensation, Morgan? I mean, what you are saying, you know? You want to run out? Run out. You understand? Let's talk about lawsuit, you're going to run and back down. Eh? But more you do, more you talk, more you hold out for your voice. Now, why the Integrity Commission is investigating this? And because Morgan does Morgan things as it relates to what Henry Morgan had done, then of course, we are going to show you that is the same Henry Morganism that Andrew Holness is carrying on. So Andrew Holness now, right? That man from out of HAJ, and let me show you the document why the Integrity Commission investigators are investigating this. HAJ chairman to take charge of UDC board. We're gonna look for this now, people. See that? So Andrew Holness have a corruption, people. Wanna see how Andrew Holness have a corruption? Wanna watch it now? HAJ chairman to take charge of UDC board. This is big conflict of interest, you know. What is conflict of interest? Brother Rattigan, you know some million good tonight, you know. Brother Rattigan, you remember Imperium, right? Me now you remember Rattigan.
Yeah.
So you see the reason why we are going to
Don't say that, brother.
Okay. So then Andrew Holness take this man from off of the HAJ board. And now put this man, HAJ chairman, to take charge of UDC board. While this man have shares in an Andrew Holness Imperium company. People who don't understand the corruption, it can't get worse than this.
What can
Don't watch this, people. Notman, bro, the chairman of the housing agency of Jamaica. This man and the prime minister. Right? This man is at the right time of the prime minister company, and not only one company, you know. You know, more than one company of the prime minister, you know. And the prime minister put this man now to in charge of the housing agency of Jamaica. Been appointed the chairman of the Urban Development Corporation, the state agency that controls billions of dollars worth of government land and real estate. When you see where the land grabbing coming in, people, what Andrew Holness done. When you see what Andrew Holness do, as related to the corruption, remove this man from out of HHA. Which part this man is a director in Andrew Holness company and holds shares in Andrew Holness company. Let me go to the Integrity Commission investigation. And yet, Henry Morgan grandson, Henry Morgan great-great-grandson is saying that the Integrity Commission, you understand, have malice aforethought and politically biased to investigate Andrew Holness. Wanna see how Henry Morgan grandson, great-great-grandson is so out order. Wanna see how Henry Morgan, who used to rob on the ICs, or him grandson, him great-great-grandson is so out order. Wanna see how Henry Morgan great-great-grandson out order. Now watch out. Integrity Commission raises conflict of interest, concern over owners and business partner who shares UDC and HHA. What do you mean? This is a big conflict of interest, people. In this 2019 photo, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is seen along with Housing Agency of Jamaica Chairman Norman Brown at a signing ceremony for the St. Catherine Estate Housing Development in St. Catherine. See there now? See there? Want to see the corruption there? Now, Brown, who chairs both the Housing Agency of Jamaica and the Urban Development Corporation agencies under Holness Ministerial Portfolio, holds shares in estate Bridge Development Company alongside Holness family. You know, hear the
emotional damage.
Corruption people. Be the point out the corruption to you know, want to see, understand why the Integrity Commission investigate this and why Henry Morgan grandson begs. They know why Henry Morgan grandson begs because Henry Morgan grandson have the solid DNA like his grandfather, his great grandfather. The two entities manage billions of dollars in the state asset. You know, hear that, people. The similarity in the functions of HAJ and UDC and the relationship between Holness and Brown pose significant conflict of interest concerns, said Kevin Stevenson, Director of Investigation and Integrity Commission. No, we hear Henry Morgan grandson, Delicote and Kevin Stevenson, say Kevin Stevenson political bias and Kevin Stevenson have an axe to grind. Can you imagine when you see this clear conflict of interest and clear corruption? If this potential conflict of interest is not managed appropriately, it may be deleterious to the public interest. However, the director said, notwithstanding the foregoing, no direct evidence was presented to suggest that there has been any impropriety occasioned by the referenced potential conflict of interest. The remarks are part of the Commission's 171-page report and an investigation into Holness income and asset and declaration from 2019 to 2022. It noted that the Commission was unable to determine whether Holness should face prosecution or illicit enrichment because the Prime Minister refused to provide details on his personal expense. Additionally, there are unresolved questions surrounding over 473 million worth of transactions involving companies connected to Holness, Estate Bridge Development Company. And with Norman Brown involved in that, a key part of investigation lists Brown as a director and shareholder alongside Holness' sister and one of his sons, the Commission said. The Commission highlighted that both HAG and UDC are involved in real estate, making Brown dual roles in government and estate bridge problematic people, especially since both agencies fall under the Minister of Economic Growth and Job Creation and People. Remember some mystic sensation telling us that Audrey Sewell was also in the ministry, was also permanent secretary in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, and the whole of them place and miss billions of dollars. Brown has stayed HAG since 2016, you know, and was appointed UDC chairman in 2024. Take it away. Let us go to the panel.
Time come. Some are got charged for corruption. Oh yes. Why Bolo? Some are got charged for corruption. When the time come, some are got charged for corruption. Oh yes.
People, hey boy, when the right time come, some are going to charge for corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, you see, when you're listening to people like we ain't known some are Rattigan, you know, you have one white clipboard, and you see white clipboard, guess what you're going to do? You're going to write down every key point. And you see when you look back on the board when they don't teach you lesson, at the time there, it really occurred to you just how deep this rabbit hole of corruption in the Jamaican government that is ruling right now. Maybe even in the opposition, who knows? But guess what? Some investigations have to go do. You understand? And I can't wait. This is wicked and soap opera. It's terrible. You understand what I say? Because you have the Prime Minister, you have your wife, You have Norman Brown. You have Paula Sewell. That's what she name? What's your name? Sitting on that Sewell. Him call her name a couple times. Well, him do have one whole show about her. The same lady they were. Let me see. Let me have her name now. Let me get the right name. I did a show about her the other day too. It's a go bitter when the right time come. Some a go charge for corruption. Marcus Garvey, hear the people them say. Audrey Sewell, right? Audrey Sewell. Hey boy. Audrey Sewell, Norman Brown, Andrew, his wife. Who else he mentioning this? The teacher lady. The teacher lady with the people in house. That case there. What him name? Roel Reed. Who else? Who else he mentioning this? Who else he mentioned? Ladies and gentlemen, Daryl Vaz. Remember say mention Daryl Vaz too, you know. Remember say mention Daryl Vaz. So curiosity kid what go on. Yeah, but remember say mention Daryl Vaz too. So he no pretty no. He no pretty at all. He no pretty no. And he no pretty nah. Your mama say, living ain't easy, no. Living ain't easy at all. It ain't easy, no. And it ain't easy now. Your mama say, hey, listen to me, man. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section.